Hi guys, welcome to the improvement season. I am Steve Hall and I am with Pascal Floor. Say hi, Pascal.
Yo, hey.
And you're wearing, what t-shirt are you wearing today? Everyone on YouTube can see.
I have no idea who that guy is.
Who is that?
What kind of company that is. Synapse Performance?
David Trolan or...
Maybe some fucking Irish guy who owns that company. I don't know. No, it is from Synapse Performance. So David Nolan, our man. So I need to represent him. And that shirt is actually quite nice. I have to admit that.
It's good for bulking gains. Yeah,
it sits well, and the texture is just nice to have it on the skin. I have the feeling that whenever you're sweating a lot, there are some shirts just take on the smell of your sweat quite quickly. And I have the feeling that with this one, it's good fabric.
That's good. Yeah, I do hate that. The worst thing, and I bet the audience can relate to this, when you put on a cleanly washed top and you're like, it reeks. Why does it already smell of sweat? I've just worn it for like a second.
I just say one company, and hopefully we don't get sued, but it's Nike. Nike, and so Nike, that's so bad. I have the feeling that I'm not it's not only me, but everyone is saying that with the compression shirts and with the just sports shirts from Nike, it's absolutely that thing. They look amazing. I have one shirt. I love that shirt, but I can't wear it because after 5 minutes, I smell like I'm just coming right out of the gym. And I was wearing that shirt for like the last 2 weeks of training sessions, right? And I need to actually throw it into the clothes stack for the washing machine.
Yeah, I've got some tops that still, they must be like 5 years old and they're still okay, like, and they don't smell. And then other ones, like you buy them brand new and it's like, okay, after 1 week, this is now a shirt that just constantly stinks of BO.
Maybe it isn't the shirt, but it is us.
Maybe I'm sweating most of the time.
Yeah, maybe it's just like, I don't know. We once been to, where was it again? A zoo, I think it was. So every once in a while you smell like that muscious smell, you know?
Muscious?
Yeah. Is it the same name in English?
I have no idea what that is.
Muscious English. So it's basically when musk.
Oh, okay, musky, yeah.
So you're walking around and you just have that sense of musk in the air, which smells so annoying for you. No, it wasn't in a zoo. It was in something like Sea World, and there was just small glasses where they had musk from whales in. Yeah, and it smelled
random.
Yeah, totally random. But I mean, maybe it is the same for us, that we are just excreting some kind of substrate, which is basically our musk, which we don't find annoying at first, but in combination with the fabric, it just gets really annoying. Maybe it is really us, and it's not Nike's fault.
This is just our perfume, our male perfume, and females also release this musk, I assume. Anyway, to bring it back to us, I suppose this is related to us at the moment because the weather's still been quite nice. I'm surprised summer's kind of still kicking around. I don't know if the weather's still been all right in Germany.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I think there has been a couple of days where it was a little bit colder, a little bit more windy, but it's still summer.
Yeah.
I mean, can't really complain. But it's that transitioning time where I'm not quite certain what to wear.
Yeah.
It looks cold outside. Then I pack myself in, and then I'm sweating like a pig. And sometimes it just looks warm outside, and then I'm wearing just my shirt, and I'm actually freezing then.
And you're in, well, we can also talk a bit about, you're now in your second week. Is that right? Second week of dieting.
Yeah,
so I guess you're not at a point where you're starting to feel cold, like in comp prep, where you just feel cold all the time. But how's everything going?
No, it's going super smoothly, actually. And It's quite funny because here today I was hanging up the clothes. Yes, I'm a family man now. Yeah, so I was hanging up the freshly washed clothes. And while I was doing that, I was just thinking how smoothly it has been. Okay, it's only the second week, but I do still remember the time like at the beginning of the year where I was struggling actually after just a couple of days. And then I was falling back to overeating, right? And it's just now I'm in such a good space. No issues whatsoever. Even when I'm hungry, I'm not struggling. I don't have the tendency to overeat. So there's not this craving in the back of my head or in the back of my physiology where it's just like, oh, I really have to fight against it. It's just like everything is going smoothly. I'm now sitting below like 90 kilograms. Every once in a while, I'm jumping up over 90 kilograms, but it's just going down. So yeah, it's going great, actually.
That's really good to hear. And is training, how's that going? I know you're training early in the morning now.
Yeah, no change there. I don't think that my training will be impacted over the next couple of weeks. I'm taking it more so conservatively with a deficit. I will always auto-regulate along the way. When I really do feel sluggish or something, or really do feel the impacts of the deficit, I will pull back a little. I'm actually running a more aggressive deficit at first, right? Because I simply can't do it. I don't have any kind of build-up diet fatigue. So yeah, I don't feel the impacts just now in the training. And I'm always going in with the mindset of trying to still build hypertrophy, right? I'm not making any kind of difference between the gaining phase, maintenance phase, and cutting phase in regards to my mentality when I'm approaching the gym, right? Because you see it all the time that there are people who are asking the question about what do I need to maintain my muscle mass when I'm going into the gym, when I'm cutting? Okay, why aren't you training still for hypertrophy then, right? Why are you deciphering between these blocks? You still want to go in there and try your best to actually build hypertrophy. And I mean, there has been so many studies now showing that you can actually build some muscle tissue while you're in a deficit. So why wouldn't you train that way? Sure, you always have to juggle with fatigue management and stress management, but if you get a hold of it, right, still go in there with the aim of building muscle tissue and not just to retain it.
Yeah, I think especially for yourself, because you've periodized in a fashion of having that lower volume primer phase ahead of time, you're now more sensitive to the hypertrophy, higher volume training. So it wouldn't actually be surprising to me if in this first mesocycle you were building muscle throughout and actually seeing a bit of recomp, which is part of the reason periodizing for more advanced athletes is kind of a really cool thing, because that sort of thing can happen. Because I feel like that's what happened in my contest prep, where I took like a lower volume period and then went into it. And I didn't lose that much weight, but my composition changed really nicely. So I think that's a really exciting thing. But it's the wrong mentality to go into the gym and think, and I did this during my first contest prep completely, where it was kind of like, oh, I just need to hang on to the muscle I've got. Yeah. So I don't know, I don't need to try that hard. I just need to go in and get the work done. And I think there is a period of time where maybe that's a good attitude to have, where you're so tired where, just go and get your job done, like tick a box.
But I think thanks for mentioning that, because this is what I just wanted to bring up. Because, I mean, when you're dieting for 14 weeks, 20 weeks, maybe 24 weeks, after a certain point, you're just really fatigued already. And then maybe even when you're recovering, you won't be fully recovered for the next training session. And then it's more so the fact of, maybe I need to pull back now just to actually hold on to the tissue.
Yeah, it's like that infographic I remember I created where it's kind of that specificity of physique versus performance. In our off season, there should be less focus on the physique because it matters much less, and more focus on the performance. And as we get closer and closer to stage, less focus on performance, more so on your physique. Whilst you still want an element on both, because you don't want your performance to go to absolute crap like at the start of your prep, and you don't want your physique to be just awful during your off season. There's got to be an element of specificity to one or the other. And completely, I mean, some of our clients who are deep in their contest prep at the moment, I know you've got Stu who just competed. I got Dan competing this weekend, the weekend after next. And like, it is a case of going in, getting the job done. I mean, if you can hold performance, that is good. You don't expect to be beating and hitting PRs deep into prep. It's just fairly unrealistic, I think.
No, totally. And just to turn it around, I see that you're just getting more and more jacked and swole. And so I'm answering all the time the comments here on YouTube. And every single time we are posting the takeaways episodes on Wednesday, there are so many comments saying like, "Oh, Steve, you look jacked, man. Off season is going well." And I am the one who has to comment on that. You get way too many compliments. But I mean, how is everything going for you, mate?
Yeah, it's going good. It's hilarious. I think I'm quite fortunate in that I look good in vests because it shows off my strong points, which is basically my arms. Because yeah, I mean, really short shorts and like long sleeves, I probably wouldn't look my best because my legs aren't the strongest point.
Cut off jeans, hot pants. This is what you need to wear now.
To be fair, my glutes are a strong point, so I might catch some eyes.
Yeah, that's true. This is what I was thinking I think a week ago when you were posting, I think, some squats. And you were wearing some leggings, and I was just thinking, what a nice glute. Holy shit, hello.
It's hilarious because I can remember when I used to, like, for years I was doing hip thrusts. And like, I used to really like hip thrusts because I was super strong at them. But it's just like, I liked them at the same time I hated them because they're a pain in the ass to set up. And I haven't done them for so many years now, and I'm just like, I'm really glad I stopped doing those because my ass would just be disproportionate to the rest of me.
Was this the time where you still worked with Brett Contreras and you wanted to compete at bikini?
There should actually be a men's bikini class.
Men's.
Imagine that. And then
just for entertainment purposes.
Well, they've got women bodybuilding, not that bodybuilding's male specific. Maybe women's physique. And then they're
and I'm topless. All for equality, right? So when there's someone who really wants to compete in bikini as a male, I think we should allow that, and we should actually, maybe start creating such a class.
It's actually getting crazy. I don't want to get too far into gender. It's such now in modern days, it baffles me how many different kind of you can't be. It's almost, to call a woman is almost like, you can't do that. It's like, I can't do that.
I have the feeling that when it comes to, so we are living in a day and age now where you can't possibly say your opinion anymore because someone gets offended by it. Someone will misinterpret it and gets it the wrong way. I think everyone, when you look at the stars now, just look at football players. They have people actually teaching them what they have to say on camera. Because it can always end up backfiring, right? So it is the most boring thing then, actually. Every single time, every single interview of any kind of star is nearly the same because everyone is afraid of some kind of backlash. And this is the day and age we are living in now. You need to watch out for every single word you're saying because someone can take it the wrong way and say that you are, I don't know, fucking racist who hates women at the same time and stuff like that, and this totally taken out of context most of the time.
Yeah, it's crazy how even like we're not like don't know what's it called, we're nowhere near as popular as footballers or anything, but I definitely find myself catching things that I'm saying and being like, I'm not sure I should post that. That might sound a bit too racy, and kind of hold myself back. And I think there is a degree of professionalism for sure where some probably a lot of footballers are fucking idiots and they just will say the wrong thing. So I can understand it to a degree.
Rob Zand.
Rob Zand, you absolute numbskull. Imagine if Rob actually watches this. I have no idea if Rob watches this. No, I doubt it. But anyway, so where was I going? So yeah, training's going well. I'm in basically, I think already told, I'm in my overreaching week this week. Kind of spoke about being ill last week. Still holding on to some residual kind of sniffiness but nothing that's impacting training. But I have been able to have a really good training week. So everything's been able to overload, like performance has been as expected. If not, I think better than what I expected because of last week. So I'm really happy with that. But I am really actually looking forward to a deload next week. Not that I normally don't, but I am looking forward to a deload, and I'm really looking forward to actually going to Greece the week after I need a break. As much as I hate to admit it, that I need a break from like training, from work, from just day in, day out doing kind of the same thing, I know I need a break, and I know I'll benefit from it. So looking forward to that. I'll probably try and get I don't know if I'll be able to train out there. I don't even know. We haven't even found where we're staying or anything yet. So I don't know if I'll be able to train, but I will do some body weight stuff if that isn't available. No. And then the week after
Shut off calisthenics at some playground.
I'll put it on YouTube. I'll just film it all and
So just on a side note, I was just recently at a theater with Katie, and outside the theater, right in front of it, there was a playing ground, right? So there were a bunch of guys shirtless. It was a really warm day, right? Shirtless, doing calisthenics movements, and there was no one who actually was able to do something decent. Everyone was just doing half pull-ups, doing some push-ups that were crappy and stuff like that. I was just standing there because I found it so interesting, because they clearly wanted to do something. And I was asking myself, because it was a really public place in the middle of Berlin. I think it's the most public place you can be for something like that, right? So I was just asking myself, why are you actually doing your training now at that time? So it was like 7 p.m. When you know that so many people are around here, and you take your shirt off. That's probably just because you want to show off, right? I mean, I don't know.
They can't show off.
Yeah, and then they can't show off. I was just like, holy shit, that is funny. And this is how I imagine you will do it in Greece.
The thing is, actually, I don't know if other I remember seeing someone talk about this, where if you're in shape and you take your top off, you almost feel like people are judging you as if you're a dickhead because you're taking it off to show off. And sometimes that's actually made me like my walk to the gym is really quite close, and it's quite nice walking past the river. And like sometimes it's been hot and I'm tempted to take my top off, like just because it's nice, it's a great breeze, and I'm flipping hot all the time. I'm like, I'm not going to do that because I'm just going to get so many stares of people just being like, that guy's like, right knob.
I think so. That is only my opinion. But going through the city, even on a warm day, shirtless, is just a no-go.
Yeah, city.
I mean, through the city and stuff like that. I mean, when you're working out, you're doing your calisthenics kind of stuff. I can see the reason for that. I can also see the reasoning for it when you're a CrossFit athlete, and that's just the way you need to actually train, right? It was just so funny when I was still working in the CrossFit box back in 2016. It was just like, you're doing the first rep and everyone puts off their shirts because they're already sweating that much, right? So it's kind of a funny cliche to make fun of, right? But I think it's just a no-go going through the city with your shirt off, even if you have an amazing physique or something. It's just like, oh, come on, dude. I mean, it's the middle of the city. Why?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it in the middle of the city either, but I didn't feel comfortable. This is by the river, so it was actually kind of like, I don't know, I could see that not being as inappropriate. And other people were doing it at the time, so I was like, oh, I could do it, but I don't feel, I feel like I'll be judged.
No, but it's an interesting point you bring up, that I may be too judgmental too quickly in that instance.
Maybe. So, you never know, do you? So yeah, I mean, I can't complain about how things have gone. Weight has kind of shot up a bit recently. I actually hit above 195 pounds, which I really didn't expect to. I didn't even expect to hit 195 pounds, to be quite honest. But I did push calories up a little bit more, and because I was ill and I was just like, I just want to fucking eat more to get through this, hopefully. Whatever will help my recovery and help me get through this training. But I don't think my physique is particularly kind of looking poor for it. And I think some of it is definitely edema from kind of water retention from the stress from high volume training. It's really, really tough. Some of the yesterday was it was good, but it was a horrendous workout. Like 6 sets of hack squats, all to 0 reps in reserve. Then 2 sets of squats after that were like, I was so worried about those. I was like, am I even going to be able to do these? But I did. I managed to have, I think, 2.5 kilos more than last week's matched reps, so I was happy with that. And then the rest of the session is just a small amount of hamstring. So once I get through the hack squats and the squats, I'm like, thank God. So that was 8 sets, and that was hard. So I really can't complain. This mass phase, it's not quite come to a complete end because I will do a short mini cut and then get into some more massing, but there will eventually be Steve is too fat now. He needs to do an extended cut at some point.
So at some point, and it's been a long time since I've been lighter than you, there will be the time where I will actually, totally. Hopefully.
You're now just under 200 pounds, right?
Yeah, I mean, it fluctuates right around 198, so...
Yeah. So I will probably I'll probably touch 200 pounds at some point, and you'll be down where I am now in a few weeks. Yeah. So yeah, we're cross paths.
Oh yeah, finally.
And then I'll come catch you back up.
But I mean, I'm still probably carrying more fluff than you do.
No one even knows how you look, Pascal.
No, that's true. But I mean, back last year when I was weighing 75 kilograms, I wasn't like. Not as lean as you were, because you stepped on stage with 75 kilograms, right? So you're probably holding onto a little bit more muscle tissue than I do. So,
But it's funny. Someone messaged me today who I competed against last season with his scale weight, and he was like, "I've got a lot of catching up to you when I'm back in my off season." Because he was 155 pounds and I'm 195, so he was like, he's so much lighter than me now. But yeah, that was just funny to think, like, someone's who I compete against is 40 pounds lighter than me now. It's kind of nuts. Yeah. Should we get into the questions? I don't know if we've got anything else. So these were asked on Instagram today, really late notice, so I do apologize, guys. I don't know if we want to start. Yeah, let's start at the bottom of these. So someone called, I don't know if we want to answer all of these, from Marcus_Pitt. He is the Australian pro wrestler. So I actually have never seen him on my Instagram before. So Marcus, I hope you're watching this. I hope you didn't just ask questions and just randomly because I have never seen your name before. So, so he may well be Muffins. He said, "You were wrong, Steve. The last question in the recent improvement season." Oh, wait, I think wasn't the Muffins. I'm the Muffins. Or this is someone else who's Muffins. I'm very confused.
Yeah, me too. So this is actually the Muffins with his wife being called.
Yes, that's what I think so. So there's someone else with the name Muffins.
Crazy.
God, too many Muffins.
What is happening in the world? I don't know.
So Muffins is a wrestler in Australia.
That's crazy.
Well, hi, Muffins. We do have, he said, "My question, I am a newish dad with a nearly 8-month-old baby. Some nights I'm," and then he continues to another one, "only getting 6.5 or 6 out of 6/7, I guess, and a half hours of sleep a night. Besides sleep, what is the most," and then it continues, "beneficial recovery tool, in your opinion, that can help make up for the lack of hours in sleep?" Do you want to go for that, Pascal?
Yeah, I think we discussed sleep pretty often over the past couple of episodes, and my opinion hasn't changed. I think that sleep is non-negotiable, and you can't make up for lost sleep. It's as simple as it is. You can't make it up. I mean, if you're sleep deprived, if you're lacking sleep, there's no recovery method other than sleeping more that can make up for it.
Yeah, it's really sad actually, because I know I did an infographic a while ago where I said about banking sleep and as if it was like a debt and a surplus that you could get into with your hours of sleep, but it's actually not. Having read Matt Walker's book, he explicitly says your sleep is not like a bank. You can't make up for lost sleep, and you can't bank and save extra sleep. It's kind of like you've had that debt and now that's going to hang over for you for a period of time. You just need to get back into good sleeping habits. I do think you can probably have maybe a bit less sleep and then have naps to help, but I don't think it's ever going to be kind of a solid kind of. There's also the quality and quantity in one slot rather than kind of segmented. So Yeah, I think there's probably some cultures where they have shorter hours of sleep during the night and then have like a siesta where they have a couple of hours there as well. And I think that probably works quite well. I think that's called like biphasic sleep. And apparently that's where we kind of, as in our ancestry, that's how we used to sleep. We didn't used to have a huge one segment of sleep. We had like two bigger allotments, which is kind of cool. I guess it makes sense as well. Get out of the sun, that whole thing. So yeah, apart from sleep, it's just all the other recovery things. So like training within your MRV, not overtraining, making sure you're eating plenty of food and quality nutrition at appropriate times, those sort of recovery aspects, being stress-free.
In that case, it's just like, so he's now a father, right? And as a matter of fact, I would assume that he is quite busy with everything else. So just me time, like, or muffins time in that case, is probably not realistic, right? Otherwise, I would have said, okay, if you have the possibility, just relax for 1 or 2 hours, lie on the couch, just do you. But this is probably not even possible for him, right? And I don't think that as an alternative way for sleep, there's nothing. You can only mask the sleep deprivation with things like caffeine, for example, or maybe some naps, but it isn't the solution and it can't make up the sleep deprivation in it for itself. So basically, sorry to say that, but there is, as far as I know, not an alternative or some kind of other option for actually making up for that.
No, I guess it's one of those, I've had clients with children and I always just say, don't stress more about the fact you're not getting sufficient sleep. Control what you can control and just make sure that you're doing the most with what you have got. So if you can control your nutrition, you can, I don't know, find an hour of de-stressing time, maybe you can't, then do those things. But if you can't do those, then just don't make it worse by stressing about what you can't do, because it's just, that will never ever help.
Yeah, and just in addition to that, I think that every once in a while we simply have to accept the fact that we can't get in optimal amounts of sleep. Some people simply don't have the time for it. They have such a busy schedule that they simply need to accept the fact that they only sleep like 6 to 7 hours, right? You can still try to improve it somewhere in the future. You don't want to spend the rest of your life there in that ballpark, even though that some people don't really need that much sleep, but it is the exception. But there's always the question about optimization, right? Yes, it might look good on paper. It might sound good on studies and stuff like that. The recommendations might seem kind of plausible, but in a practical setting, sometimes things are just different. And this might be the case where it's just like, okay, I have to accept it now because I have a child, and that is the main priority, and not getting insufficient amount of sleep.
Yeah, what I would say is if some people just need a kick in the ass, like they just need to be like, make it non-negotiable, don't be a twat and go to bed, because a lot of people out there just don't respect sleep enough. And trust me, I think more and more research is just coming out to tell you how much it really is important for so many aspects. It's quite scary. The only thing I would say is generally problems really start kicking in if you consistently get less than 6 hours sleep. So muffins, you said kind of 6.5 or more. So at least you're kind of getting more than that. But I think, everyone kind of knows if they're getting enough sleep. If you're having to like take naps and having to have caffeine to get you through the day and you're feeling a bit lethargic, then you're not getting enough sleep.
Mate, sorry, we will move on to the next question just in a second, but you brought up a really important point, because most of the time you can't really control when you have to get up. Mostly it is you need to get up at a certain time because of work, because you need to work out before work or anything like that, right? But many people have it in their control when they go to bed. And if you need to actually get in 1 or 2 hours more per night, then don't just stay awake until 11 p.m. Then cut it off there, go to bed at 9 or 10. Just do it. And then if you don't, then you can't really kind of blame someone else, or can't really complain about not getting enough sleep.
Yeah, and Yeah, I won't continue, actually. I could keep talking about sleep for too long. I had more, but I won't. So the next question, I'm not sure I really have any answers for this. And I do, but it would probably go very broad. So I think you'll be the same as me, Pascal. It says, minutiae... Oh, wait, let me say who it's from. So it's from Matt Phone. Mm-hmm. And he says, minutiae I know, but any implications of ingesting fats pre/post cardio? So we really just want to say no and leave it, don't we? But there definitely could be.
Totally. It's just too broad of an answer there, and also too broad of a question to begin with. Sorry, Matt. Maybe you could rephrase it or put it in a different kind of context so that we actually really understand what you mean, and then post it in the Facebook group. I know that you are there, so yeah. Because
I think this is a question where we'd have to really dig into, like, what's the rest of your diet looking like, but yeah, if I was going to answer it simply, I'd be like, so long as it's not taking you out of your calorie like allotments and it doesn't make you feel sick and nauseous, like, I'm not sure there's going to be any implications.
I would have so many thoughts on that one and so many assumptions what he possibly could mean with that one, but I just save it because otherwise we would go down a path which we don't want to go down.
So I am Rethi asked about balancing social life and being, and what I would say is we've covered that. Like, every episode is almost kind of talking about that in some way or shape or form.
True.
So if you haven't listened to the past episodes, I dig into them. So we have Man Cub 86. Man Cub. It is spelt Cub with a K, so it made me say it a bit funny. Oh. What volume to start week 1 back after a deload week 2's V from cycle before? So I'm guessing weeks 2's. What volume to start week 1 back after a deload? Week 2's V from cycle before. Oh, volume, okay. So he's saying after a deload, week 1, should he start at week 2 from the previous mesocycle's volume?
Oh, okay.
Or where, if not that, where?
So basically, I would say, generally speaking, no, because if you were to do it each and every mesocycle, then you would just ramp up the volume to unlimited amounts at some point. So what you want is, of course... So what I'm always like to do, I look back at the mesocycle, see where we could actually add some volume, whether we made some decent progress in the last mesocycle. And if we did, then I wouldn't change too many variables, right? Sure, you want to program in a way where it's in a preventive kind of fashion that you're not stalling out or plateauing. But if things are going and heading into the right direction, then you're doing most of the things already correctly. And what you can do then is actually play a little bit with the load, actually, because I would assume that most of us are still able to progress via load from mesocycle to mesocycle. So Steve and I are not in that area anymore. So at least for me, I can't really possibly progress via load from mesocycle to mesocycle anymore. I don't know how it is with you, Steve.
Generally, it's like every 2, if I'm lucky.
Something like that. If at all, right? Depends on whether you are gaining or actually in a cutting phase, right? So I would actually maybe try to outperform your last mesocycle with that. Also, once again, reassess what you did in the last mesocycle, whether the first week, maybe even week 2, was too little of a stimulus to actually get some kind of response, such as mild soreness or something. Then you can still bump it up. But I don't know if you want to add something, Steve.
Yeah, so no, I agree with what you're saying, and I'd only simply add that basically in that first week, I think we're both the same, where we're kind of looking to hit that minimum effective threshold. and it's unlikely your minimum effective threshold is moving drastically mesocycle to mesocycle. So you kind of would, look at that week 1 from mesocycle 1, have an assessment of, was this enough to achieve minimum effective volume, which is, like you said, if you get a little bit of soreness or you feel like you've actually had a workout, that sort of thing is a good, or you get a good pump. Like if you're not getting any of those things, then maybe it wasn't quite enough. Maybe week 2 would be appropriate. But likewise, it could be too, you could have learned from the past mesocycle it was too much. So basically just try and start each mesocycle around minimum effective volume. That amount isn't going to change that much mesocycle to mesocycle. So if you made a few variants as well, like that already brings that down somewhat because it's kind of novel. So yeah, it's not something we can simply answer, but I would say what you said about starting at week 2 volume every week 1 and doing it that way is going to lead to probably excessive volumes very, very quickly, and you'll end up having to deload like a couple of weeks early, which is just going to absolutely suck. Or
you just end up spending like 2 to 3 hours in the gym.
Yeah. Right. So we have Patrick _ EXSC, which we know is your client, Patrick.
Yeah.
I did also just want to give everyone a shout out, although I don't know if people will end up searching these names out. But so he said, how do you guys handle unilateral strength differences? Track reps achieved of limiting limb, ?
Do you want to start first, or should I cover that?
I don't have an answer at the top of my head, so I'd have to think about it a little bit. So if you have an answer, then you can go.
Yeah, so what I like to do is actually I start with the weaker limb first, and then I just do as many reps with the other limb what I achieved with the first limb I used. So let's say I'm doing single leg press, and my left leg is the weak one, and I'm only able to do 10 repetitions. My right one is the strong one, but I cap it at 10 repetitions as well. At some point, because for the right leg, it's maybe suboptimal amount of tension and load, and for the left one is actually really progressively overloading. And at some point, they will just balance itself out.
Yeah, it's really funny you said that, because as you were saying it, I was like, that's what I do, and I don't even think about it. Like I do, that's exactly what I do. But like I always match reps on either side, but I never really think about it. I don't actually use a lot of unilateral work for myself at the moment. I quite like using a lot of bilateral, but
it just takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it does.
I do like it, and whenever I can implement that, then I'm trying to, but it takes so much time, and especially when you are doing like
a lot of volume,
maybe 2 even in a session, it's just like, holy shit, it's double the amount of time nearly.
Yeah, it is. So no, great answer actually. That was really easy. Cool. So we have, let's go back. Oh, this has got an interesting word in her question. So Laurie _ Aram has said, how to perfect calculating total weekly sets per body part / movement pattern. So I can start on this and just, I first of all say, the reason I said it's got an interesting word is because you said perfect. And perfect and optimization are 2 words that are fine, and I do use them. I just always say that they're like pie in the sky type of subjects that, yes, you might always strive for perfect, but to actually achieve perfect or get perfection, one, you never know. And so it's kind of like it's a pie in the sky subject and like thing. So you're never going to be able to, you can strive for it, but you're never actually going to be able to achieve it. And stressing about that is not worth your time. What I would say is when you're talking about kind of trying to get the best and striving for perfect weekly sets per body part / movement pattern, it's an ongoing assessment. So something I really like about the idea of kind of auto-regulating rather, is it's very an iterative system. So it's kind of like you put in an input, and then you get an output, and then you get feedback, and you kind of go, whoa, what did that give us? And so you're constantly assessing things. And that's what I do with clients. That's what I do with myself. It's kind of like constant feedback and assessment. How was performance? How are you feeling? How does this compare to past performance? And then gradually you're moving through a mesocycle, and you're getting towards perfect and optimization and all of those sort of things. The thing is, you have to keep analyzing, because there's so many moving parts. Like you haven't, it's just like calorie intake. Like if you lost weight on 2,000 calories 2 years ago, that doesn't mean you're still going to lose weight on 2,000 calories now. There's things that have changed, your environment, loads of things can change. So when you're talking about sets and movement patterns, like you're always adapting, you're always getting stronger. You are also under different stress at different times in your life. And then different movement patterns, different exercises are going to stress you differently, and they're going to require different amounts of volume. And then also within that, you might have different exercises that impact different exercises. So you might not be deadlifting one mesocycle and squatting, and then you might have a mesocycle where you're not deadlifting, but you are squatting, and then you might find that you can do way more volume then. So you're always trying to kind of strive towards optimization and perfection, I guess, rather than ever knowing you're there. And that's basically what I would say. It's not a case of the how is constant evaluation and assessment of things, and you never actually know. So it's kind of like a bit of a weird one.
That was a brilliant answer, and I just have to add one thing, and this is what I always tell my clients when they, I don't know, doubt the process or look and compare themselves to other people, and are doubting their perfectionism and stuff like that, right? I always like to say that perfection is only a subjective illusion, because you can ask 1,000 people and everyone will tell you a different kind of outcome, what perfect actually means and what perfect actually is. And for you in that situation, it might be the carrot and the stick situation, right? You are actually chasing something, but it's always in front of you because it is non-achievable, right? Once you get to a certain level, there's always a different kind of outcome or a goal in front of you that is now the new perfect situation. So it is a losing battle to chase it, actually. Mm-hmm. Yes, we can always strive for it. We should always have a goal in front of us, right? But aiming for perfection and optimization is really just walking in the desert and seeing the what's it called in English, Fata Morgana, the illusion in the sky.
Oh, I see. I know what you mean. I don't know what the word is, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. So that's basically what perfection and optimization is, right? That it's only a mirror image in the desert, and you can't ever get there.
It's really sad because I know I had the same with clients sometimes, especially when they're a bit newer to working with me, where they'll be like asking lots of questions and being a bit anxious about certain things. And I feel really bad sometimes because I'm like, I feel like I'm selling myself short, or like we're not sexy enough that like I want to be like, yes, this is the perfect solution. Come and get coached by us and we will find you your perfect number of sets. And it's like, I can't promise that because I can't possibly know. So no, brilliant answer, Pascal.
Just to correct myself, because I'm a little bit pedantic, it's a mirage.
Oh, mirage,
so,
yeah.
Fata Morgana, mirage.
That's the one. So next question is from Ilyes_Ben Arib. And he has said, or she, do you think of maybe in 10 or 15 years you are going to pass in the drug use part of the bodybuilding scene? So I guess that's, are we going to partake in drugs? Are we ever going to take steroids?
I think we talked about it in the podcast.
We have actually, haven't we? Have your views changed?
Use and stuff. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't ever tell what is going to happen in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years from now, right? And maybe I would just do it, or because I have the drive to do it, right? It is always then a decision that I deem as appropriate in that situation, that I maybe or maybe not regret in the future. It's like getting a tattoo, for example, right? When I was 18, in that situation, I had some other thoughts. I had some other, I don't know, desires and stuff like that. I had other views on what is pleasing and aesthetic, right? And I got some tattoos which I wouldn't get now, like 12, 13 years after, right? And it can always change along the way. And the same applies to something like the drug use. And it could definitely happen, and especially when I have to take something like TRT simply due to health reasons, then I would definitely do it.
Yeah, I agree with the TRT. Well, I agree just completely. It's never something it's not in my mind of this is what I want to do. And I only ever think about it when people ask me. So it's not something that's on my mind. But when thinking about TRT, when I am older, like, I don't know if that's like mid 40s to 50s or something, when TRT use is when it becomes more of a thing that might be useful just for well-being, then yeah, I'll probably take TRT. And then I don't know if I'd ever strive to take anything more at that point. It just seems it feels a bit late almost to start doing it then. And I don't know about the health implications of where I am in life. There'll just be so many things. But right now, for both of us, I think it's just, we just want to try and maximize our natural capabilities, and neither of us really have a clue at where that will be, because we're still trying to like work towards that perfection, I guess.
And before, I've never competed in a natural federation. I don't want to jump on that one.
No. I want
to do that first, and then I will still have plenty of time to make my decision.
Cool. So we get to the next question, which is from Rainer Trainer. I like that. Says, weights are flying, gaining weight, but not enjoying my programming. Should I switch? So I have an immediate thought on that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead, because I'm always starting to answer these questions, and I feel a little bit egoistic in that kind of sense.
So I had my immediate thought, was keep going. Like, you're seeing everything that you want. You're progressing. Your weight's going up. Like, this is perfect. But my immediate thought, I don't think was my correct answer, or not what I would want to say. I corrected myself in my head and thought, but you're not enjoying it, so it's not sustainable, because that's the key. Like, we know diets work really well, and some diets like, I don't know, keto or Atkins and whatever you want to be doing, they work really well, but we know the best diets are the ones you can sustain long term. So that's the same with training. If you can't sustain what you're doing right now, which is unlikely if you're not enjoying it, then you might as well change your programming. Probably only needs a small tweak to still enjoy it. And then, yeah, you'll still progress because it's only a small tweak. So it sounds like you were going to have the same sort of view.
Totally. And I just want you to get on that one as well. And the thing is, let's just say that you are right now running the best and the most optimal program that is for you, but you don't enjoy it, and you're switching to something that is less optimal, but still has the fundamental principles in place. Even though that you might see a slight difference in performance, right? I think that over the long haul, you will probably get more out of the quote unquote less optimal training protocol because you enjoy it. You probably, because of that, are pushing yourself a little bit harder in the gym as well than the quote unquote perfect plan you have at hand right now. So yeah, it all boils down though to sustainability. And in that case, I would say switch it to a different program. As long as the fundamental principles are applied, the differences should be marginal.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, yeah, it's funny when reading that question, I was like, but progression is like what makes me happy. But at the same instance, I think actually you'll be surprised how much more you end up progressing with a program that you enjoy because you're just put more into it. It's always the case. It's kind of like, yeah, you might be in a relationship that's like good. She might be really hot. But if you actually find someone you love, you're going to put a lot more into that relationship.
Man, it's funny because I thought of a job situation when you are dragging your ass to the office each and every single day and you hate that job, you will probably not do the quality amount of work which you would do when you love what you're actually doing.
Completely. I think we probably have time for one more question. I think some of these have been covered before, so I think we haven't covered this before, so I'll go to this one. Vito Jankov has asked, what are your thoughts on myoreps? Are there any studies that support they are good for metabolite training? I don't know if I picked the right question there.
To be honest, I really haven't looked into the whole scientific literature around myoreps to that extent. And so I don't even know if there are really plenty of studies out there, or even if there are any at all. So I think the best people to ask or the best person to ask is maybe Carl Juneau, who we had on our podcast, or someone like Børge Fagerli, who came up with a terminology of myoreps.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd add in addition to that is people get really I talked about this on my story yesterday, actually, about like different terms for things within kind of fitness and health. And I understand why there's lots of terms. I don't think it's a problem generally unless people don't explain it. I think a lot of people get confused by metabolite, pump work, finishers, whatever they might be. Like they're all basically the same thing. And there's lots of ways to go about that, and they all are just basically short rest periods, lighter weights, just trying to fill the muscle with blood, essentially. So metabolites are very much like blood flow restriction training. They're doing a very similar job, just like supersets, just like giant sets. They're all lighter loads, lots of repetitions, filling the blood with muscle and getting a great pump. So that's all I would add to that conversation, just because I think loads of people get confused and they think like myoreps are this amazing, cool thing, and they think they're completely different to a load of other things.
Yeah, it's so crazy because back in the days when I was still powerlifting, there was such a confusion going on because each and every kind of brand or company used a different name for the periodization model of a macro cycle. Right? Then there was I don't even know all the terms anymore.
I forget them now.
Yeah, but it was crazy, like the transitioning phase, then the strength block, blah, blah, which is for some others a completely different terminology. And everyone used a different terminology for these blocks, but they were still the same, right?
Yeah, it's like, if you read enough textbooks, you end up realizing how confusing that can then be. Because you're just like, what? This sounds just like this. It's like, oh, it is just this. So, yeah. We probably have time for one more question.
Yeah, let's go.
So this is from Eleanor Fit, maybe. How to do the transition between fat loss diet and reverse dieting. Is a diet break between the two a good thing? So for me, the transition between a fat loss diet and reverse dieting, I don't know of a transition between the two. So it's a kind of a bit of a confused question. I feel like I need to ask a lot of questions within this. So I guess this is someone who maybe is doing fat loss and then they want to go into a reverse diet and start going into their off season maybe. I don't see there being a transition between fat loss and off season. I guess that transition is the reverse diet, if you want to call it that. Reverse diet, recovery diet. It really depends on the way you're defining reverse diet. I think the traditional or the old school I don't know why it's old school, but the original maybe reverse diet approach, which was like adding very small amounts of carbohydrates and fats to your diet slowly over time. That I don't think is something that anyone would really want to ever do. I don't think it's really very productive. I think both me and you, Pascal, are under the impression that really you want to, once you finished your fat loss phase, if this is comp prep, you basically want to get straight into a surplus and bring your body weight and body fat actually back towards your lower end of your settling point where you feel good, and then probably slow things down from there and enter just an off season. There are applications of reverse dieting, such as during a contest prep when you are already quite lean and you can kind of build calories up and still get leaner and kind of almost peak yourself with a massively far ahead front load in a way. And then you're kind of backloading, I guess. But yeah, that's one application. And then maybe if there's someone who, maybe they're oftentimes female, it doesn't have to be female, could be male as well. And I've certainly used the approach with both. And I think I spoke about it before, where you've been dieting a long, long time. You're on very low calories, but you're not as lean as you'd like to be. And you're worried about gaining fat. And then you can kind of use a bit of a more assertive reverse diet, but not as assertive as like a recovery diet, where you do increase calories a bit more slowly coming out of that. But yeah, I don't know if you've got any thoughts on this question. Do you want me to read it out again?
No, I think it was a brilliant answer, because you needed to keep it a little bit broader, because it is how do you define reverse dieting, and depending on how far you've pushed it into in the diet itself, are you more so stage ready, or was it just a conventional cut? getting your body fat levels down just a little bit, right? And this will then also impact the aggressiveness of the reverse diet, in my opinion, at least. So no, brilliantly covered.
Cool. We're at 54 minutes, so I think we'll probably call it there.
Cool.
Thank you guys for the late notice on those questions. Thank you for getting them across. I always enjoy answering questions. It kind of gives us easy things to talk about, and sometimes you feel like you know nothing when we're coming to this and we're like, what should we talk about? So you make us feel like we know something.
I just want to say, if you guys don't enjoy that simply because there are so many podcasts already out there where there isn't a Q&A happening, sure, we can go back to just talking about
a topic,
whatever the fuck, what comes into our mind, all right? But let us know, put it in the comment section below, or just throw it into our Facebook group, and then we can actually, move on.
And what I would say is, if you like this format, to probably get the most out of us from our expertise, is asking us questions about coaching is probably a good thing, because that's kind of, we are not the researchers, but we are people who use that research often and then apply it to our own clients and ourselves. So that's more so where our expertise lie, kind of in the coaching field. So that would probably be good questions to ask, but we'll take any questions. So yeah, thank you guys as always, and we'll catch you soon.
Cheers.